What a relief! This background image just sums up my mood last night. I didn't really do a breakdown because, well, I was just busy kicking back. I don't know, just had a really good time, just chilling and stuff. And I freaking, like, when my parents freaking took me out freaking last night just because, my Clippers won. So, like, that was pretty interesting, I guess. And then today, I'm just going to break down about I don't know what pretty much just happened because Tyronn Lue, like, man, what he did in Game 6 and Game 7, like, he improved. He improved. Kawhi Leonard just exploded. Can we just let's just talk about that first? Because what, like 45 points when the game is on the line. That's just the GOAT, in my opinion. Kawhi is just the GOAT, in my personal opinion. Of course, no one's going to agree with that yet, just because they're probably either too scared to say it, or it's just because he's on the Clippers, and of course, Clippers, it's so easy to hate on them. And then, but 45 points, and then Game 7, he also did pretty good. He was phenomenal on the mid range. Like, come on, like Kawhi was literally like what, like over like 60%, like what in Game 6? Like, come on now, you cannot deny that was great. That was just straight up great. And then Tyronn Lue, like his rotations were a lot better. Like Game 6, he actually started getting Kennard on the floor. He played Terrence Mann more minutes, and Game 7, I felt like his rotations was pretty good. It was like it was good considering because how I've been treating Tyronn Lue lately. Because Tyronn Lue, let's be real, like let's not just forget that Tyronn Lue like was the also the reason why we were like in this hole. I'm not gonna lie, because he didn't make adjustments in the first 4 games. Well, first 3 4 games. Yeah, pretty much because like when we lost like first 2 times, he started Reggie Jackson, and then I was really like at first didn't like that at all because I wanted Terrence Mann to start or Rondo to start, but I guess when Reggie Jackson starts, it's actually not as bad as we all think, because when Reggie Jackson starts, he gets a lot of reps, and I supposedly, and then he scores pretty good. So, but I would still want Tyronn Lue to try to find a way to get Terrence Mann and Kennard on the floor, because as you can see, like the result is like they showed up. Kennard, he did pretty good last night. I mean, yesterday I should say, because we didn't play at night. And Terrence Mann, he's like the future of the team. Like Terrence Mann, like the Clippers should pretty much like make Terrence Mann untouchable from any trades. Because remember what happened with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? The Clippers should not repeat history. Like if we ever because I heard a little rumors about Damian Lillard wanting to join, like not wanting to join us, but pursuing Damian Lillard. Clippers should not include Terrence Mann no matter what, for any superstars. Like, of course, duh. I'm not saying Terrence Mann is gonna be like is one of the best players in the league, but he is key to our future. Like he's our soul. He plays hard. He does nothing but positives for our team. He's what? Like I say sometimes like he's like somewhat like he shows shades of Kawhi Leonard. A lockdown defender, and also don't forget his passing is also not too bad, but I prefer we get a good point guard in this year's draft, but that's for later to discuss. And then, but Terrence Mann defense is really good, and when he actually matches up against Luka, like he tends to do better compared to with all of our guards. He can shoot pretty good. I mean, he can pass the rock pretty good. So Clippers should try to make Terrence Mann must make Terrence Mann untouchable in my opinion. So, but another thing that I would like to address is Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris this series, like as you can see, like he had a really rough start. He struggled in Game 6, but in Game 7 he stepped up. So that's another thing I'll give props to Morris. But in my opinion, like and to the key for us to win, like like, beat like the Jazz and eventually to win the title is our role players need to do pretty good, because Reggie Jackson, he played pretty good for the last. what the last two games pretty much. I mean Reggie also did like score pretty good too, but but the last two games he did really good. Like especially game six, what he's like the second best scorer. Like Reggie Jackson. Like look, I slandered that guy a lot if you've seen my comments, but again, if Tyronn Lue just uses him, like if he just starts him, I guess. But the thing is, maybe just like limit like Reggie's minutes some a little bit less though. Like maybe like within like what like when the late first quarter heading on, just try to put like a Luke Kennard or a Terrence Mann or like because Luke Kennard and Terrence Mann they do so good. Like if you put them together because Terrence Mann is the locked in defender and he can kind of shoot and Luke Kennard could just simply just shoot. He just jacks up the shot and it looks really good too. Like even when he misses, like it looks like it's about to fall in, but it just bounces out. So I mean, pretty much. And Paul George, I mean, I know a lot of Clippers fans probably do not like Paul George right now, but I mean, I think Paul George is still like pretty good. I mean, he didn't play how I would want him to play. Like he didn't like drop 30 points a game, but he did have his moments. He did play really good defense. He did get a solid amount of assists, but please, Paul George, just limit the turnovers and make and mainly again for Tyronn Lue. Like if he coach like for the rest of the series, if he like for the rest of the playoff runs, if Tyronn Lue if he coaches how he coached what like game six and game seven when he includes Terrence Mann for a good amount of minutes, like especially second, third, or even fourth, and if he finds a way to include Kennard as well, I mean that would be he could I would probably no longer really call him a bad coach because now I don't know. I mean Tyronn Lue, I mean I kind of will still probably call him a bad coach as of right now, but he did coach really good for the last two games. I'm not gonna lie. I mean of course he still had flaws, but I mean it's better than Doc Rivers obviously because come on Doc Rivers just would not do anything. If Doc Rivers was coaching this Clippers, he would have still had Pat Bev playing, and pretty much just not playing our young players and just literally get cooked. So so at least Tyronn Lue did something. But again, if he coaches like 6 and 7 for the rest of the games, he could shed himself from the bad coach status. He could actually be a decent. I'll actually call him a solid coach from. But again, I definitely think we could beat the Jazz because come on, Kawhi Leonard, he's just the GOAT. He's like Michael Jordan mixed with Tim Duncan. And then Paul George, it depends on Paul George too. He needs to play pretty good. If he plays like what, like Paul George, like 30 points a game, it's pretty much over for the Jazz. Well, not over for the Jazz because I mean Kawhi and PG did play really good and it's still lost, but let's just say like if Kawhi Leonard and Paul George played pretty good, a role player stepped up, and Tyronn Lue's like like rotation goes pretty well. I think we'll definitely win a chip. So that's just my breakdown as of right now, and go Clippers. So I'll just end for the breakdown. So